All right, roll call please, Planning and Development. Ms. Andrus?
Here.
Mr. Gwaltney? Here. Mr. Wolverton? Mr. Sims?
Here.
And Mrs. Nails?
Here.
4-0 present, we have a quorum.
Okay, and Amy sent out the minutes from our meeting of May the 15th. I'll entertain a motion for approval and dispense of reading of those minutes.
So moved.
Okay, motion from Counselor Nels, second from Counselor Sims. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Andy? Andy? Yes?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Any opposed? That passes 4-0. Old business, none. New business, 10-06-23, request permission to vacate a permanent easement at Second Presbyterian Church. Mr. Smith.
In 2004, the city, or the Second Presbyterian Church donated an easement to the city of Homewood for the construction of the Shades Creek Greenway Phase 2. But between 2004 and now, the project actually moved to the opposite side of the creek, so we don't need this easement anymore. Second Pres is trying to clean up the property, and they've asked that we vacate.
Did we record these?
I believe we did.
Which one?
You do it one or two ways, you can just give them a quick one.
Right. We have a legal.
Yeah. I'm sure that we did, what do you say, 2004?
Right.
January Ross had it.
19 years. We are going to be done finally with this project. Any questions from anybody?
This is when it costs us about $800,000 to buy the other. This one's given to us free.
All right, if there aren't any questions, I'll entertain a motion to set this resolution and no public hearing or anything required.
Well, sorry, I didn't know more about it tonight than just what I heard. I'm not sure, possibly not, particularly if they just take a quick claim deed back.
I'm sure they would.
Well, do we wanna,
Check with them?
just because we're going straight to council, do you?
Yeah, I don't think we can do it tonight.
Yeah, let's not,
I don't have the legal description.
if y'all will, just
Carry this
carry it
over.
over,
Yeah.
and on the 10th, we'll figure out exactly how.
Before then, I'll figure out what we need. I just got to get the legal.
This is continuous for first aid.
Okay.
Is it construction easement?
I'll give you help.
Is it construction easement?
It was a permanent easement.
Okay.
So we're gonna carry this over to the 10th? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Gwaltney is gonna chair for me. I'll be out of town, so he will chair the meeting for me on that night. Okay. Next item, 11-06-23, public hearing set for July 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. for consideration to approve a final development plan. Applicant Under Vulcan LLC, owner Under Vulcan LLC, for the proposed redevelopment of an existing two-story office building as the site for a new mixed-use development comprising a combination of retail and restaurant uses on the ground floor and office space on the second floor, as well as appropriate parking, landscaping, and other site improvements. We heard this at the Planning Commission in June and had a vote of 6-0 for a favorable recommendation. Mr. Smith, I know we have somebody here also for it. I know you've signed in already, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Brian and Chris are here.
Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hey.
Would y'all like just a general overview?
Yeah, if you'll bring everybody up to speed, I'm the only one that has heard this presentation, so it's
Sure.
just, yep, absolutely.
My name's Brian Krogsgaard. I'm the owner of Under Vulcan and also the owner of the two properties that are in question. There was a resurvey as part of the proposal to slice a piece of 173 Oxmoor into 169 Oxmoor, that little triangle there, which allows for us to have easier egress with the new parking structure layout. This is a redevelopment plan that Chris has been working on with me, and I'll let him kind of introduce what we're actually doing for this adaptive reuse of this property's the current Wygand surveying building, and they've moved next door, and they share the little house building with me as an office now, and so it is currently vacant as we prepare for redevelopment.
So I'm I'm Chris Faulkner, I'm the architect, with Brian. Of course, this is our site, and what we had proposed to do is take the existing structure that was built in 1985, which is a all office building, and turn it into mixed use. Office will be maintained on the upper level with restaurant and salon or business and retail on the lower level. And doing the math on the requirements for parking, we came up with a need to add on or resurvey the lot to give us proper egress and into the site. And in looking at your master plan, we noticed that the parking is street parking with sidewalk behind. We believe in that. We're pulling out the existing parking to the street and angled as required with sidewalk going around, and then an improved landscape. As you see, is primarily hardscape right now. We plan to do substantial landscaping and a vegetative screening to the backside, which is residential, and make the space active and vital and of interest to the community, and hopefully be an impactful intervention or renovation of that site for your future planning.
There's a couple of slides that should show something like this, where you can see generally what we're trying to do to the existing property, and also you can get a feel for the layout that as it moves from office to this multi-tenant use. But it's basically a gut job on the interior to be able to establish new demising walls for each of these units, and it's also there you go, thank you. A pretty dramatic change to the exterior to knock a little bit of the 1980s out of it. So we've been going through this process and trying to accommodate fully the WHD code here, and also maintain our adaptive reuse. The external structure, the only changes that are really occurring are the patio and awning, both on the retail side, and then across the entrances, and then there's about 1,100 square foot of patio on the restaurant side, which is over here. Otherwise, we're maintaining the current footprint of the building, and then doing significant exterior renovations, bigger windows, much more storefront, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sitting here looking at this. Does this incorporate the little garden
That's what
statue place?
That's this building right here.
Okay.
So the existing lot line is that diagonal,
Oh, okay.
and there was a fence there, and the resurvey captured a little bit of this property
Okay.
in order to create this exit lane.
Yeah.
And then also add some greenery in addition to all the parking
And
spaces.
what is
that are
happening to
required.
that spot? Cause I know they had their
Yeah, so
going out of.
I purchased both properties.
Okay.
So, Wygand Surveying is
Moved in there.
utilizing this building,
As the
and
office.
I am as well.
Okay, got it,
So-
got it, okay.
Yeah.
And you said the chain link fence is coming down?
Yeah, so there's a big iron fence around this property that's coming down.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so it actually stretches all the way across. At some point, it'll come down on both properties, but certainly on 169 Oxmoor, it'll come down. But we're gonna utilize it as construction fencing in the meantime, because it's there.
Yeah.
But once we get to the hardscape and landscape portion, and we're able to remove those construction barriers, then that will come down. There's also currently a rotting and leaning wooden fence on the back. So we have the vegetative screening, and then there'll be probably a new 12-foot or so wooden fence on the back of that with the vegetative portion in front, something like that, to just make sure there's both.
8 foot is the max.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, yeah.
For the sake of the residents, and then also for the sake of the commercial side, to be quite frank. to be able to have the visible barrier immediately and the vegetative barrier over the long term as that grows in fully. The parking is 28 spots, something like that.
25.
It meets code from a parking perspective. What questions can I answer?
On the, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the property line figured out correctly. So what would be the right side of this drawing? So is that adjacent to Gillen or?
It is actually, yes, that's Gillen Drive. There's no development there. So do you know where the circle comes out?
Yes.
Between Wygand and the Briary?
Yes.
This is that right side circle. So there's no active residential development on that side. Right now, it's about maybe a 4-foot iron fence or so on that side. So that's where we have the proposal for the added vegetative screening there. Whether or not that fence stays would really be up to the residents. It doesn't matter to me, but I guess if there was support for that, it could stay. But yeah, that's what faces that side, and that parking is already there. Really, none of this parking is not planned to be moved. There's no parking here currently. There's just a couple of parallel spots along that property line. And then this parking right here is currently fully against the building, and we're moving that out to street front, which is what the WHD requests.
Questions? Who would it be most appropriate to come from to contact those residents right there, since they have that option?
Carlos and
Yeah,
Andrew.
Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a couple of the people that live over there, they all received a notice
Okay.
for this process as well.
Okay, awesome.
I'm not sure what that radius is, but
500 feet.
500 feet, okay.
That's great.
So certainly everybody that could potentially be visibly impacted would be already have received a notice.
Okay, awesome.
And per those plans right now, what's the width? So that sidewalk looks like it's actually not in the right of way, but
This
it's,
one?
yes.
It's 5 feet.
Is that 5 feet?
5 feet.
The width is
Okay.
5 feet.
Yeah, so currently this sidewalk goes pretty much at the property line.
It's at the curve of the
Right.
street.
At the curb, yeah, so this moves the sidewalk actually to the interior, and so the parking spaces are angled in.
Do you know, do we have any idea what's happening with the old Waffle House?
Yeah, I mean, I know some things, but I'm not the owner of the building
Okay.
or the lot.
Okay.
However, I would love to see it to be developed
Yes.
or turned over in some capacity.
Yeah, others of us would also like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's a great parcel.
It's kind of sticking out as a sore thumb at the moment with all the stuff that you're doing and then with the gym on the other side.
The owner does not want to sell.
Yeah, I get that.
That'd be a good combination.
Could he close the door? That'd be awesome.
Mr. Karsgaard, thank you for accommodating parking, so
Yeah.
without having to get a variance, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Especially in an area that's starting to blow up like
Yeah.
this area is.
Yeah, there will be, I mean, we did our best to accommodate parking without making it an asphalt paradise, which it is right now.
Yeah.
You probably could squeeze a couple more spots in here, but we wanted to meet code. That said, to make this a full destination area, and this is something I've talked to some of y'all about, this is a great location with great parking, a medium density, I think, development. The more dense stuff that exists over there, the more the long-term needs for public parking are gonna exist, because there's, I don't know, 500 homes or something in that general vicinity, and it's not enough to support the amount of businesses that we're trying to actively recruit to the area. So to create both a neighborhood district that's accommodating to everyone that lives there, walks there, rides bikes there, things that they do right now with some of the activities that exist in the area, like the farmer's market and Seeds Coffee and whatnot. As you create greater density through developments like this one day I'd love to redevelop this as well. That's not exactly the highest and best use of that property. You'll create a need for more parking than is even required in the code.
Well, we're about to have 570 residents, so I mean, we've got a development that's coming right behind you.
Right.
It's gonna have 55 townhomes and
Yeah, I think it'll be great
15
for
or 18
the area.
lofts, so.
But you'll create additional needs just across the board. So how to maintain walkability
Right.
with
That's
destination
it.
capacity?
I was gonna say, I think if you ask Counselor Sims and Mr. Smith and I, we just got back from a walkability conference, and they would say, if you build for cars, you're gonna get cars. If you build for walkability, you're gonna get people.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, and
It's
we're,
a-
and like I said, we are adding 75 homes, or whatever the number actually is, 70, something,
50
78.
townhomes,
Yeah.
18 apartments or
18,
something
yeah,
like that.
exactly, 68, yeah, so
And-
we do that. But, I mean, we definitely want to support, and we definitely want businesses to proliferate and succeed over there, so.
Yeah.
It's definitely an ongoing conversation that we can have, and bring in your Ward 2 counselors too, so.
Yeah, and I know, I've met and spoken with, I think, just about every business owner throughout this WHD, code region and, entertainment district, and honestly, I think there's a lot of cooperation amongst the business owners if we could figure out a way to get everybody in the same room and figure out
Yeah.
like what works well for residents, what works well for business owners, what accomplishes the goals of
That's right.
WHD, you know, establishing walkability, establishing density,
Yeah.
but also accommodating people to come to West Homewood from other places, because from a pure economic sense, that's gonna be required. Nevertheless.
Yeah.
And you referenced, you know, people in the neighborhood walking and biking. I mean, is there any consideration to, like bicycle racks on site?
I'm totally open to that, yeah.
I mean, I just wanna
Yeah, we
mention
haven't
it as
like
it-
marked
as it
out
relates
where
to-
would bike racks exist on this property, but there's space for it for sure, yeah.
Cause I mean, if you have office space and literally somebody could live in the neighborhood and bike to work if they just need a place to park it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I might be one of them.
Nice, nice, yes.
So, I'm very open to that, and, you know, I think that it'll be important to encourage people to walk, and also alternate modes of transportation, carpooling, whatever is possible in that regard. But my point is just that we meet the necessary parking, but if you think of full density, you know, the restaurant's open, the retail spots are open, the office is open, and it's 4 o'clock or something on a Thursday, there will probably be more people wanting to park at this building than can park at this building. And for a good walkable city, that's probably what you want. But how do you establish some option for people? Right now, the alternative solution for some is to like park over in the new pool and community center area and walk down, or things like that, or just street front parking. And I don't know, this is a different conversation perhaps, but as you see the turnover in these businesses and people create these greater density developments, more entertainment driven developments, you're definitely gonna have needs for better parking solutions long term in West Homewood. And we'd love to participate in those conversations.
All right, if we don't have any other questions, we need to set the public hearing. Have we set this yet? President Warren?
Sorry,
It has been
yes.
set, okay. The correct motion then would be to send out without recommendation.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Counselor Gwaltney and a second from Counselor Nelms. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that passes 4-0. Okay, well, thank you so much. And so that public hearing is gonna be
Thanks.
July 10th, 6
Thank
o'clock.
you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and without objection, we are adjourned. What? Nope.
So everyone,
Yep, we're adjourned.
not a new item, just so everybody knows, we're gonna change, this ain't gonna affect y'all. Y'all still are July 10th at 6 o'clock, it's just gonna affect them, it's how we get there. Because we're gonna change the schedule, because the 4th, that's gonna be a night of committee, so we'll probably specially call meeting at 6 o'clock just for that public hearing, because it's already been noticed and published. Everything's been sent out to neighbors, so we're gonna go ahead. So committees that night, we will stop, if we're not done, we will stop at 6 o'clock, go do that, come back and finish committees. If we're done, just go over
So,
there.
no council, I'm not gonna be here at all, but, so no council meeting, you're just gonna go next door and have the public meeting?
There will be a
Public
special
meeting.
call.
Special call council meeting,
Just
okay.
mention
For
Just
this,
for that one.
because it was not gonna be a council night, it was gonna be.
It's gonna be a committee night.
You're right,